What's happening, folks? Welcome back to another episode of the Gridiron Uncensored podcast. Uh, we're going through the ACC spring previews and getting everybody ready for the 2024 season. And, there's a lot of good teams. I think that we've recognized in the ACC that it's a lot deeper this year than it was last year. I know we've kind of mentioned that every episode, but as we go along and we talk about these teams, you can see the depth. And there's really only a few that stand out as okay, these teams are going to have some problems this year. Other ones, you're like, okay, they could easily go either way. They could have a really good season. They could have just really bad luck and have a bad season. But some of these teams tonight, I feel like most of them lend to it's going to be a little bit harder for them. But I have one that I think is going to have a good one. I think they might shock some folks. Trev, that's Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
I know you may not feel the same way about them that I do, but I'm kind of excited about this team and what they bring to the table in 2024.
Good old Vatek.
That'll get them riled.
Yeah, hopefully.
Look, Brent Pry, he's going into his third season. Okay, he is 10-14. It hasn't been the greatest, but even last year, you look at how it started and it was rough. Lost to Purdue, lost to Rutgers, lost to Marshall. And you're like, okay, this season's going to go straight down the shitter. But then they were able to figure it out after losing to Florida State. They did beat Pitt. They went out and beat Wake Forest. They beat Syracuse, Boston College, Virginia, and then they beat Tulane in the bowl game. So they were able to finish strong on a positive note. They went 7-6, 5-3 in the ACC. But what they found was a quarterback. Mm-hmm. And that's where they feel the most confidence in going into 2024 is that Kyron Drones can be that guy. And when you watched his games last year, you could see the talent that he has. He was an electric dude to watch. So they're really excited to see what he brings to the table this season, how much development and growth he's had in the offseason. And that's why there's an optimism around the program. And I feel like most will have that when they feel like they have their quarterback. If you don't have a quarterback, optimism's like, it's like a scale. It's like starting to really teeter to the downside. But if you have a quarterback, you're like, sky's the limit, man. If he balls out, we can do anything. So that's when I kind of feel that same way about Virginia Tech is they have a good quarterback. That's going to win you games. And that's more than a lot of teams can say. So that's where I'm kind of looking for them. Again, portal is one that we've been talking about a lot. And, how these teams attack the portal. I will say, Trevor, you mentioned it off screen. That's not very impressive portal class for Virginia Tech, being ranked 74th in the country, getting 7 in and losing 18.
No. But on the positive note, there might be some boomerangs happening because, we've had, we'll just say, we're just going to call him out. Like, Mr. J.R. Walker, you have commitment issues, sir. You have been in since November, and you have yet to commit to anyone. I'm not sure what's going on with that. He's a very, very good player. And I'm just I'm wondering if he's going to end up having to withdraw and just stay with Virginia Tech for another year, which there's no harm in that. He's going to play. He's a very good he may play. I don't know. Maybe the situation is that he's not going to play.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact situation with this particular player, but him, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 uncommitted transfers coming from Virginia Tech. Granted, a couple of them only just committed this time last month.
Yeah, the J.R. Walker thing is interesting. I've tried to find articles on him and haven't seen much about him. He played in 2021 and 2022. He played 10 games, only had 18 tackles. So 2023, I don't even know if they're just like, hey, dude, you're not panning out the way we want. But he is rated a 4-star transfer. So I'm curious to see what the discrepancies are. Like I said, I've looked for articles, haven't seen much about it. So if you're Virginia Tech fan, let us know about old Mr. Walker there, because like that's strange. You enter the transfer portal in November, November 2nd, and it still says you're not committed. You're not like there's no crystal balls on where he might go. So yeah, what the hell are you doing, buddy? But I digress on the Jaron Walker thing. It's just one of those what like weird.
Yeah, I think the only real transfer out for Virginia Tech that really hurt is what I would say is probably Daquan Wright, the tight end, going from Virginia Tech to Ole Miss. And outside of that, I'd say that most of these guys were role players at best.
And he's a good sized tight end too. So you don't like losing that. But I agree. You look at these guys; they're going to North Texas, Cincinnati, JMU, App State, Minnesota,
Kennesaw State,
Charlotte. Guys like that. But the ones that you do bring in, I know it's not like flashy portal class. It's not huge. Like some of these others that we've covered, like SMU, where they brought in massive amounts. You're looking at guys like Curtis Perry from Alabama coming in. And Trevor, you mentioned it. He was a 4-star recruit. I know it shows
highly rated.
Yeah. It shows he's a 3-star transfer portal prospect. Now, you might have questions about that. Well, he was a 4-star in high school. Why is, maybe he didn't play last year. Why is he downgraded? It's simply because these are collegiate, rankings. These are how they have performed in college. And most of them get 3 stars. Like, hey, if they haven't really played anything, they're going to get a 3-star because they could be really good. They could fall off. You'll see a couple 2 stars and the like, but
and Brendan, you mentioned it. They got a really good offensive tackle out of Georgia State on Matavius Cunningham. He's he's a very good size offensive tackle.
Yeah,
that should shore up left or right side for them very, very well.
Yeah, and that's the big thing for them on everything that I've read from their boards, and just get a feel for the program from their fans. Because obviously it's easy for us to look in on a program, but kind of trying to get the feel and the buzz around the team. They do have 84% returning production, which is wonderful. That's one of those stats you want to have on your side. It's again not okay, make or break. Oh, well, they've got 10% or 30% coming back. They're going to be horrible. It doesn't necessarily mean that. Okay, right. But it does help. 84% coming back. You're getting some of these guys that are plug and play. And really, the thing that they were most concerned about was the defensive line and their linebacker core. And it looks like they went out and got guys. Sam Brumfield, from what I was reading on them, is the one at the middle linebacker position that they want him to be. And they want him to be a run stopper. He comes over from Middle Tennessee, and they think he can do that job. But even like last year, they had the 20th ranked defense, so they weren't scrubs. This is a fine defense. If you can fill these gaps from losses, and maybe get a little bit better at tackling, at run stopping, okay, you're gonna be in a better position where you went 7-6 last year. Maybe you can win 2 more games. Maybe you can win a third extra game, get you 9, 10 games. That's what you're looking for with these portal players. We're plug and play. And you mentioned them, Cunningham at tackle. They're hoping that helps with that run game. Because as soon as Kyron Jones came in, their run game got better. He was such a threat that they're going to have to respect that. When you don't respect the quarterback play, then you can tee off on the running game. So when you have a good quarterback, you're going to have a running game, and that's what they have. So that's where you get a lot of the excitement again from them is they're returning players like Bashal Tutton, halfback, or Tutton, excuse me. He had 10 touchdowns last year, almost 1,000 yards rushing. Right. So these are things that are building, and if you kept these guys in your program, all returning, not all of them left, like the one tight end we saw. That's why there's a recipe for success for Virginia Tech.
And let's talk about that recipe for success, because let's talk about that schedule that might lead to that success.
Sure.
And the start of the schedule looks very, very promising. They got Vandy at Vandy. Then they got Marshall coming in. They go play Norfolk, which is just down a couple hours or down the road,
Yeah.
which isn't very far from them at all. And then this is when it starts for them.
Yes.
Is when we're talking about Rutgers comes calling into Blacksburg. And this is a team that we will cover when we cover the Big Ten next, since this is our final episode covering the ACC. Big Ten's coming up next. Rutgers will be among those teams.
Yeah.
And I know Brendan and I, talking off air, we both like what Rutgers is doing.
Yes.
And so I'm very curious to see this game happen, because if they lose this game, it may trigger a problem for Virginia Tech, because then they have to go down to Miami, Stanford at Stanford out in California. So they have 2 away games back to back before they come home to Boston College. And then they get Boston College and Georgia Tech at home. They go to then it starts another tough stretch for them there, Brendan, where they go at Syracuse. Then they have Clemson come in. They got to go down to Duke, and then the ever wonderful rivalry with Virginia at the end. The positive side of this whole thing is that they avoid NC State and they avoid Florida State. That's the positive side of this thing right now, is that they avoid those 2 teams. So there's positives there, but I do see definite speed bumps that can definitely hurt them along the way for sure.
Absolutely. And their over under this year has been placed at 7.5. So to hit that, obviously you got to be 8 wins. And honestly, I think the teams that are on the schedule show an ability for them to get to that point. They said Vanderbilt, Marshall, I would Old Dominion chalk those as wins. I know they lost to Marshall last season, but that's one that I feel like it was a close game. And hell, they in 2023 they lost to Rutgers, so that's when they're going to have revenge on their minds. Old Dominion, so it's all these home and homes, so they're playing at Old Dominion. These are teams that you need to go out and win if you want to have a serious chance at competing for the ACC with the team that you have, the quarterback you have. You need to be ready. This is a season that Brent Pry needs to get his ass going. He's 10-14, but he has improved each year. So this is one, again, you're looking for that improvement. Go out and beat the first 3. Get your revenge against Marshall. Handle Old Dominion. You better be ready for Rutgers, because I really do think, like Trevor mentioned, they're going to be a strong team. Miami's going to be a strong team. So those are 2, we'll call those toss-up games. Stanford, I feel like that's a win. Boston College, more on the toss-up side, but I feel like their defense should be able to handle it at Virginia Tech I'm speaking about. So you could see win there. So really 2 toss-ups, maybe 3 with Georgia Tech, 4 with Syracuse.
I think Georgia Tech will probably end up being a win, only because that particular week, and I'm on the Virginia Tech website looking at their schedule, and that actually Georgia Tech coming in, that's actually their homecoming.
Yeah, well. so all these things play factors, but then like you said, Syracuse and Clemson, if you watch the last episode, I think Syracuse has a lot going for them. Trevor agrees.
Yeah.
So this is going to be, a tough slate. And that's, again, we mentioned the depth of the conference. It's there. And these teams can cause you to stumble when you have aspirations of going, 9-10 wins and maybe even trying to make a playoff berth. Not saying it's going to happen for Virginia Tech, but they have those aspirations. They want that. And they've got, I think, the team to maybe, shock some teams of their own. They could go out and upset Miami. They could go upset Clemson if Clemson's not ready. So these are things you just got to watch out for this Virginia Tech team. But I see the positivity, from the fan base, and you bringing back wide receivers. Jennings was injured last year. He was one of their best receivers. He's coming back. So it's just things like that lend to that, that hype. And I can understand why it's there. Trevor, what do you think? Anything else about Virginia Tech?
No, I think there's plenty of things that Vatech fans should be very excited about their team. but cautiously excited because they
Agreed.
do have some tough stretches here
Yeah.
that could put them out of the running for the ACC championship.
Yeah.
Not necessarily out of the running for the playoff, but it'll be tough sledding. I think that they have to get a good enough record to get to the ACC championship
Yeah.
to make a case for them to make the playoff this year.
Yeah, I agree. And, we'll see what they do with it. Let's talk about their in-state rival, Virginia. This is one that I don't feel as confident about. Though I do like some of their guys. Again, last year they went 3-9, 2-6 in conference. Tony Elliott, going into his third season as head coach, 6 wins total in 2 seasons is not good. But they've been portaling.
They have been portaling.
I guess that's a verb now, right? They're portaling.
It is a verb.
Oh my god. Sorry, stupid jokes. But either way, they went out and they're doing something. It's not great. It's the 53rd class, so it's not bad. Okay, but it's not one of these top 30 classes, top 20 classes where you're like, oh damn, they made some moves. Now, I will say they have made some. Like Chris Tyree is one of them, a wide receiver from Notre Dame. They got Andre Green from North Carolina, some guys from UCF, that Clemson, and Sage Ennis at tight end. So you see big name guys coming in. But you're also seeing, some players that they think can start that came from Akron. And Corey Thomas, they're really excited about what he did in the spring. So, again, just because they come from a group of 5 team or even like one of these Ivy League schools doesn't mean they can't perform and they can't, be an asset to the team. So yeah, you look at teams and you say, oh, that's Power 4 talent. They were good enough to commit to them. That means something. Why did they transfer? Who knows? But there's good players throughout every single division of football.
Yeah.
So don't get it twisted. But
100%. And with their transfer class, it's nice. I mean, if it fills needs, I get it. Good job. But it's not enough to really get me too excited, to be honest with you. Granted that some of the transfers out once again. We are in a situation where we have 1, 2.
I love it. We are
3,
in a
4,
situation.
6, 7, and Virginia, you're in a situation. But no, let's see here. At least 2 of these guys are notables for me that have not committed, but have been in the transfer portal since December.
Yeah.
And it's Jonathan Horton and Cody Brown. Jonathan Horton, a linebacker, 4-star, 93 rated in the transfer portal, and Cody Brown, running back, also 4-star, and he's a 90 rated.
Yeah.
And I'm not really certain how it's possible that 2 4-stars are still in the portal and available.
Yeah.
It's just weird to me, unless it's a leverage play. That's the only thing I can think of. Maybe they don't actually want to leave. They're just trying to get Virginia to pony it up.
Yeah. And that it's very possible. We've seen that across really college football, that people have tried to bribe and, I'm transferring. I'm going to sit in there and hope you get, a bag so you can come back. Some teams fall into it. Some teams are like, hey, nope, you want to leave? See ya. So I don't know what the scenario is or what the case is for these guys, but like you said, it is curious that a 4-star linebacker and a 4-star running back are just sitting there since December. So maybe they've got problems elsewhere. I don't really know.
Yeah.
But you look at, again, like you said, it doesn't really jump off the page.
Yep.
But they are excited about some of these guys. Kempton Shine at cornerback. I mentioned Corey Thomas at linebacker because that's where they need help the most, is defense and getting that tackling going.
And speaking of defense, it just doesn't. On top of their transfer class being, their recruiting class is even less of a.
Yeah.
It's not to make light of it, but it's even worse. I think. I just looked.
They're
at
in
it
a situation.
They have a situation. They have a situation.
Jeez.
Oh, my Lord.
Well, while you're pulling that up, do you have it?
Hang on.
Because I was going to say,
it was
while we're talking about that, is they had
their
the
tw-
101st ranked defense last season
Mhm.
and the 76 offense. You've got to recruit to help that. If you don't want to be, the redheaded stepchild of the ACC, you've got to figure out a way to recruit.
So
And
yeah, they have a total of 13 commits, and none of them are 4 stars. None of them, basically, their overall commitment or recruiting rank is 69th.
Nice.
As a power 4, I'm sorry, that's not going to cut it.
Yeah. You got to bump those numbers up, boys.
You got to recruit well. This is what we were talking about either last episode, 2 episodes ago, I believe we brought this up, where you have to have a happy medium.
Yes.
You have to still recruit well in high school, but supplement with talent for certain position groups. But you still have to bring in the youngsters, the freshmen, to really try and grow your program. If you're not able to do that, then you have a major issue of you're going to find yourself wanting to or falling into the trap of the I guess you could say the Brahms of the world and the Dions of the world, where you're bringing in 24, 25, 30 or more transfers without any sort of room to grow for the future and kind of bringing your guys, for lack of a better term.
Yep.
So
no, you're absolutely right.
I hate the idea of rental players, but that's kind of what some transfer portal guys are.
Some of it is. Some of it's building depth and maybe different opportunities. But you're right. You have to do a mixture of both. You have to recruit. You have to attack the portal. Even if you're getting top 30, 40, recruiting classes, fine. If you're going to hit the portal, you better be getting top 20 portal classes. But like you're saying, you're getting a top 50. You're getting a 50th ranked portal class and a 69th recruiting class. It's not helping you out too much.
No, it's not.
I'll just say optimism wise for them. Calandria, I thought, looked really solid at times last season. Their quarterback.
Yep.
I could see when I watched the Virginia games that were on TV. I saw him and I saw moments where he shined, and I was like, okay, this guy, he's pretty solid. He makes some really good plays at times. He's athletic, but then again, he would get pressured, and there's bad picks. I'm trying to see where I wrote it down here. Let me find it. One second. I lost my spot. Oh, Calandria, there it is. He had almost 2,000 passing yards, 13 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions on the season. So the interceptions bad. Bring that number down by like 3 or 4, and you're in a much better spot. The other guy, the main one that was their starter last year before he got injured, was Musket. And he had 1,000 yards passing, 6 touchdowns, 5 interceptions before he got hurt. So everybody, has kind of written him off, but he had a really good spring from what I've been reading on their boards and doing the research. They're happy with him, and they say they have got a legit quarterback battle. They don't know which one's going to start because, like I said, Tony Musket was their starter, and now Calandria went out and played really well for them. I wouldn't say he's like the greatest quarterback ever, but he still played solid. So now they've got a battle, and they've got a competition, which always makes quarterbacks, I think, play better. And build that confidence up to go win a battle. So they're excited about that position going into the spring. But last year, 76 offense, 101st defense, you need help everywhere.
Help everywhere for sure. But on the flip side of that coin, they're going to need help on their schedule too. Not a flip. It's really the same side of the coin, really. There's no flip side for you, VA. I really am sorry. You guys I really just don't think you guys did enough in the off season to bring in or supplement the talent that you are losing.
Yeah.
And it's not going to end well for you guys. And Brendan, I mean, don't get me wrong. Most of the schedule is pretty tough. Clemson's tough. North Carolina's tough. But that end of season stretch, I feel like will destroy them.
Yeah, no, you're right.
At Pitt, at Notre Dame, SMU comes in, and then you got to go to at Blacksburg and Virginia Tech, like we said, just a minute, just a few.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we just a few moments ago. Oh my god. But yeah, Virginia Tech is one that we've mentioned on the last episode that I really think they're going to have a strong season. I think Trevor can see why they're there. I don't know if you're
Yeah.
as hyped about them as I am, but
I'm not there yet. I'm getting there. I mean, I'm looking at. I'm going to look into them again when we
Sure.
do our our preseason predictions for the conference and everything like that. So I'll probably dive a little more deeper into them
And
once the transfer portal stuff all settles down.
yeah. Well, and again, that's again, nobody's going to have the same opinions on these teams, and that's why we want to hear from the fans of these teams. Let us know why maybe we're wrong, maybe we're looking at this totally different.
That's right.
About this, Virginia team. But yeah, I look at that schedule. I know they bring back 81% of their production. That's great. That helps. But again, it was 76-0, 101st defense. How much is going to change? How much development and growth are these guys going to have? Because you're going from a bad team. How much better are you going to get? Maybe an extra win, 4-8. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I'm simply asking. So that's why. Tell us. Let us know why is there optimism in your program? But yeah, I don't know. I look at that, like you said, the back end of that schedule.
Really isn't even the back end. It's the
whole
half
damn thing.
It's the whole second half of the schedule. The back half, the last half, starting October 12th against Louisville, and you go Louisville at Clemson, North Carolina. Oh, okay, you get a break, but then you got to go to Pitt, then you got to go to Notre Dame, SMU, and Virginia Tech. They might as well just not go. But I mean, even so, they still have to play Wake Forest at the beginning at Wake Forest. Yeah. And then they turn around and have Maryland coming in, and they're no slouch either.
No. And Coastal Carolina is not bad on the,
no,
on the
they're
group
not.
of 5 teams either. So
they don't have Grayson McCall anymore, but
that's true. Very true. But it's a team that you cannot take lightly. So
that's true.
This could be a rough year for.
This is not a very good schedule for a team that's essentially trying to build itself back up right now.
Yeah,
and doesn't play out well for them.
They're over under. I can't remember if I mentioned it.
No,
it's 4.5.
Ooh, that's generous.
So you say one at Richmond. Say you beat
maybe.
Coastal,
I mean, Richmond was 9-4 last year.
Yeah. So I mean, if you lose to Richmond, your season's. I mean, you might win one game. But you got Richmond, Coastal probably wins.
Maybe Wake.
Wake could be a win. But I do like the quarterback play at Wake.
You'll have a chance against Boston College.
Boston College, again, their defense is going to have gaps.
Nobody really knows what we're going to have with UNC, really.
So really,
they're a question mark.
They're 4 wins. If they were to get the over, they would need 5 wins.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it. Richmond,
where would you put the
Coastal.
5th win? Maybe.
Okay,
I'm trying to think maybe where you put the 5th win.
Richmond, Wake Forest, Coastal, Boston College, and Pitt would be 5.
Yeah.
But I see them, losing 1 or 2 of those games.
Yeah, I still think that Maryland probably will win that one. So
yeah,
it's got to be those first 2, then lost to Maryland, then win. You got to win Coastal Carolina going into the bye, and then hopefully they can be prepared for Boston College coming out of there. And then
and now let's look. I know we're trying to pick out wins, and that's like doom and gloom. And what fan wants to hear that? We're just being realistic with you. But remember last year, a top 15, I think maybe top 10 ranked North Carolina came into town and they beat them.
Yeah.
So again, they have talent to go out and do this. You just got to put it all together and make sure that, Tony Elliott's ready for the season and has the gamesmanship and runs this program the way they need to. You need guys like Antonio Clay, Corey Thomas, one of the transfers. and then Chico Bennett, which was a guy that had some All ACC mentions. And then last year he didn't really do much, so you need him to step up. There's potential there for a solid season. I'm not saying you're going to go out and win 8. I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah. But could you upset somebody? Somebody, absolutely. Could you go out and win 5? Sure.
Right. Yeah, and there's going to be some change. I mean, I know I didn't mention it. I don't think I did, at least. That Virginia did make some changes this year. They did make some changes on the offense. Also, new offensive coordinator, Will Lawing, whatever. I think it's Lawing. Defensive line coach Jeff Kumasong. Linebackers coach Dan O'Brien. Secondaries coach Ray Bryan, and then they have a senior analyst and Doug Marrone. Marrone, I know that name. Anyway, I know that name. I'm not sure how I know that name, but I know Doug Marrone.
I know it as well. I'm drawing a freaking blank, but
I know that. I know. I can't put a finger. I know Marrone. I know the last name Marrone really well, and I can't think of it.
Well, we'll do some research while we're here, but
that one.
No, and that's one that, like you mentioned it, I think 2 shows ago. Don't rest on your laurels. I guess is if you had a really bad season, go change some stuff up. Yep. Find a way to improve, and Virginia did do that. So there's another reason why maybe these changes are exactly what they needed to get that defense better, overall ranked. Have more stops. Not have as many yards given up. These are things that you need to do, especially against your rivals. So again, it's a tough schedule for Virginia, but I can see why that they're excited. You get Calandria or Musket come back for another year, and after injury, all that other stuff. Maybe they perform better this season, especially if you're able to fix up that offensive line. But really, for me, it's the schedule's the toughest part, and that's why I don't feel as excited as I would for Virginia. Again, we're not trying to be negative; we're just trying to be real with you.
And look, at the end of the day, there are actually a really good amount of teams that I anticipate to having good to great seasons. And that spells a problem for the rest of the ACC, because if you have that many good teams in one conference, it spells trouble for the teams that may not be up to snuff as far as the talent level that these other teams have.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Lightning can always strike, just doesn't usually strike in the same place twice.
And I'll say too is, like you mentioned, there's a lot of good teams. So there's going to be winners. There's going to be losers. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's just how it is. If you don't like being a freaking loser, go hit the portal better. Get your administration in line, and you can build a damn roster in a year. Mm-hmm. Not saying get rid of the whole thing like what Dion's doing, but you can find guys to go out there and plug in with what you already have and make a better team.
It really, I know I've said this before, and could sound like I'm repeating myself, but it really does start and finish with the main university administration buying into this whole NIL and the money. As long as the money's there, you'll be able to bring some people in that can help you win.
Yeah.
That's just the facts.
Yeah. It's having a coach and staff that, tries to feed that to the administration. The administration buys in, you're probably going to be in pretty solid shape in this new world of football. But again,
this is a new world. Absolutely.
We mentioned there's winners and losers. Winners can become losers, and losers can become winners really quick. And that's another reason I like the portal. Some of these teams, they probably wouldn't have been good this year, but they had great portal classes, and that gives you more confidence in what they can bring to the table in the 2024 season. Trevor, let's jump on from them and move on to Wake Forest. They were 4-8 last year, 1-7 in conference.
Demon Deacons.
The Deacons, man. After they lost their quarterback, Sam Hartman, to Notre Dame, which was a sad day for the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Dave Clawson, he's been around a long time.
I'm sorry. It's a sad day for the Demon Deacons if you look at their 2024 schedule. Ouch. Good night.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, Brendan, I don't think I paid attention to it before, but oh my God.
Yeah. And since we're already there,
You might as well.
they have an over under of 4.5. Okay, you could see a North Carolina win. North Carolina A&T, excuse me, because they do play North Carolina as well.
That should be a win.
The week 1, should be a win. Virginia, I could see that being a win. I think that's a toss-up game. That'll be a battle. And then you got to play Ole Miss, which is absolutely loaded. And that's not a joke either. They're freaking loaded. Louisiana is a good group of 5 team. NC State, which is a loaded program in the ACC. Clemson's strong.
I mean, positive takeaway from there, you don't have to leave the state of North Carolina for a little while.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. You got the first 6 games are all in North Carolina.
Yeah.
So that's nice. But yeah, I mean, it's a rough schedule, man. God dang.
UConn, I mean, that should be a win. Stanford I would expect them to that might actually be a competitive game.
Battle of mid.
The battle of the mids. No offense, Wake Forest, but
sorry,
it is what it is.
Shit, it came out, didn't it? Look, we're trying to be straightforward and honest with you, but it is what it is. We're going to talk about the team though, because I do think there's positive parts to Wake Forest. But again, back to the schedule, Trevor. Like you said, Stanford should be competitive, just like the Virginia game. I feel like those are 2 battles that toss-ups for these teams. But then you play Cal, North Carolina, Miami, Duke to finish your season. That's a rough stretch, man.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Once again, 3 out of the 4 favorites to win the ACC are on this schedule. And then, by the way, Ole Miss is there to stomp you into the ground.
Contender for the SEC championship. So I mean,
and a playoff berth.
Now. Yeah,
100% a playoff berth there for them too. That's a great expectation.
Yikes City, bro. Population U. That's what it's looking like, man. It's not. Yeah, I know.
Yes, that's good. Oh my God. Yeah.
Pain, buddy. Pain. Well, so I know we've been negative, Debbie Downers about old Wake Forest.
Let's talk about the transfer portal.
Let's go look at them a little bit. Okay, they've declined since I say let's talk about some. They've declined. So in 2011 or 2021 they had a really good season. They went 11-3, and then they have declined since. Like I said, they went 8-5 and then 4-8 last season. But Dave Clawson's been around the block or two. He's been recruiting and he's got continuity. But you look at the portal, not really impressive at all.
101st. Oh my goodness.
Like at all. And again, we're not trying to be negative, but you just look at what's in front of you, man, and it doesn't look good. Incoming transfers 5, you lose 15, and you're losing guys to Alabama, Nebraska, Liberty, North Carolina, Indiana. These are all guys that should be starting on your freaking team. And that instead you're losing them. It's just, again, it lends to that. Okay, what's going to go on? The biggest name that came in was Hank Bachmeier, formerly of Louisiana Tech, formerly before that of Boise State. He's been around for a long time, old Bachmeier. Okay, so they are excited to have him, and they have a good quarterback battle. They brought in a really, I'd call him a gunslinger quarterback as a freshman, and they're looking to see who's going to win this battle. And I know it's going to be Bachmeier for this season, and they want that young quarterback to to get a little bit of time under him. But he played really well in the spring game. So there's some optimism there on the offensive side of the ball for Wake Forest, Trevor.
If you say so, buddy.
It's not it's not much, but
I don't look. Okay, so I'm just poking fun.
No, I know.
they're still a Power 4 conference. They're still a Power 4 team. There's always going to be some optimism, but with Wake Forest, you got to do better in the portal and in recruiting.
Yes.
You can't have the 101st in the portal and then also turn around and have the 67th ranked recruiting class. If you're
Yeah.
if you don't plan on tapping into the portal as much as you should, then you have to go all in on recruiting.
Yeah.
You have to. If you're not going to concentrate on the
Yeah.
transfer portal and just use it to supplement, that's fine. I completely support that decision, but you have to be bringing in solid recruits.
Yeah.
That's just the
Absolutely.
name. That's the name of the game. If you aren't going to buy into the transfer portal to kind of supplement what you don't do in recruiting, that's fine too. Just make sure that both sides are quality. You know, you're doing pretty quality stuff. There's plenty of recruits to go around. There's plenty of transfer. I mean, shoot, there's still 2 4-stars that are sitting out there from Virginia.
Yeah.
That are just sitting there. Contact them. Bring them on in. Why not bring them on in? Bring them in and tell them whatever they need to hear to bring them in.
So yeah, again, it leans to the administration. What do they back? What do they support?
Exactly right.
You can't leave your coach hanging out there. If there's guys out on the table that can help your program, you need to go get them. And they obviously didn't really do that in the portal this year.
Yeah.
I looked at it, it's 61% returning production. So it's not like one of these where they have like 85, 90% coming back. So they don't have a lot of room. I could maybe understand it then. But here last year, you had the 102nd ranked offense, the 74th ranked defense. So it wasn't good last year anyway. So go find some players that can help you. But I feel like they did that with Bachmeier at quarterback. And like I said, the new quarterback at Kalinsky, he really turned it up in the spring game. They were happy with what he did. They had Horatio Fields had a really good day at running wide receiver. So they're pleased with that. Also, a real deep threat for them. Donovan Green, he comes back, and I believe he owns one of their records for most passing yards average. So they're really excited to have him back. I think he's like 20 yards a reception is his average. So, they're really excited to have him. But again, this team is going to move as their offensive line. And last year, that wasn't very good. They got a lot of sacks in the spring game. I know it's a spring game. You don't take a lot from that. But it's still something to watch for. Your quarterbacks, they weren't even in contact, but they're still getting sacks because they're right there during passing plays. It doesn't look great.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Over-under is 4.5. Tough schedule. Not a big portal class coming in. Not great on the recruiting.
I can see 4, but that might be it.
Yeah. Again, there's a lot of good teams in the ACC this season. And
I mean, even Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
I mean, even Georgia Tech, I made the comment that I don't know if I see 4 wins for Georgia Tech. That struck a nerve with somebody because they made a comment. They made a comment on it on our YouTube a bit. And don't get me wrong, I understand completely striking a nerve with me saying that. And it's not necessarily me. I just know from what we've done up to this point with the ACC that there is a lot of strong teams in this conference, and that, for lack of a better term, if you're mid-tier, which I think Georgia Tech is, for example, it's going to be a tough season. It's going to be a grinder of a season where it could be a lot of what we saw with the Pac-12 last year, where everybody just beat up on each other all year long. And it could very well turn out to be the same thing, same scenario with the ACC.
Yeah, with the Pac-12 gone, I feel like the ACC and the Big 12 are going to be very similar this year, with a lot of beating each other up, especially in the middle ranks.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, okay, I got a feel for this team. And then the next week they get blown out or something. And you're just like, what? Like,
it's going to make it fun to
predict these.
It's going to be fun to do the pick'ems. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how that goes. We were tight last year, boys and girls.
Whew, yeah,
We'll
it
have
was
to maybe
close.
throw out on one of our later episodes before 2024 actually kicks off. Throw out who won last year. I've got it in my notes, but I'm not going to go back tonight. Either way, Trevor, I don't really have much else on Wake Forest. There
Not
wasn't a lot
much.
out there on them.
No, I think we can. I think we can close the book on the ACC for now, and
Yep.
move on to the next group.
Agreed. Synopsis on the or bluff bottom line up front for the ACC, deeper than it was last year. Strong teams at the top, a lot of middle pack that can really jack up your day. So you got to take everybody for real. Don't take anybody lightly. And some of these teams even have some tough out of conference opponents too that can probably derail them pretty quickly. So
Absolutely.
good quarterback playing the conference, I think, for the most part. It'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. But yeah, Big Ten's up next, so stay tuned for that. Keep an eye out. I'm gonna be going on vacation here, so at start of June we'll be kicking off the Big Ten, and then we're gonna roll right through all those and get out Big 12 and then SEC to finish off, and then we got kickoff very soon after that. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Trevor, you got anything?
Now, just shoot us any messages on questions, concerns, any sort of thing you want us to touch base on. We'll try and hit it as we go through these. Maybe we'll even, if we collect enough questions, we'll do a live episode of a live mailbag, and you'll just answer the questions there. We'll let each person know that issues the question that we will be going live with the mailbag. So if they want to tune in and listen to what we have to say about it, then we'll go that
Absolutely. That great idea. And yeah, throw it at us. Comment on anything. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube would be great. Just let us know and we'll get back to you. We love talking ball. So again, thank you guys. We hope you have a great one. And we'll hit you later. Big Ten's coming next. Stay tuned.
Take it easy.